Hello, my name is Cornelius Neufeld. I am the farm operations manager here at Nature Fresh.
I'm Matt Corpan, senior grower here at Nature Fresh.
So the company was founded in 2011. We started with 18 acres of peppers, and we are now currently over 200 acres of tomatoes, peppers, and cucumbers, and organics as well.
And here in our greenhouse here, we're in phase 7. It is one of our lit tomato greenhouses. We have lights, so on dark days we can grow with some extra lighting. And this is our TOB crop. So we are growing tomato on the vine, and it's a 30-acre block is what we're growing here. Right now, as you can see, Corny and I are suited up in our coveralls, gloves, boot covers on. And the reason for that is because we are trying to protect our crop. Tomatoes can get diseases, there are bugs that can come in and affect our crop, and we want it to be as healthy as possible. And that way we have the highest quality fruit that we can ship to the grocery store.
Yeah, and so like Matt was saying, we do this in tomatoes, but we do also do it in all of our other peppers as well and cukes as well, just because we really do want to be safe. If we had to clean out a crop in the middle of the season, it would be very difficult for us. But yeah, that's the main reason why we were wearing our suits. So maybe Matt, maybe we can talk a little bit about growing tomatoes.
Sure. So these tomato plants are grown for 11 months of the year. And what we do is we bring them in, we grow our plants on these bags. They are filled with coconut, recycled coconut husks. You can see here we've got some coconut, and there's some roots mixed in with the medium. And that works very well as a soil for us. And then it's also a waste. We're reducing waste being put into landfills because we're taking from another industry the recycled coconut husk, and then we put it into our bags and root with it. And the plants grow really nice. Then we irrigate and give the plants the water and the fertilizers and nutrients that we need.
Yep. These are the little dripper spikes. This is where all the nutrients come through. And also when the plants come in, they're roughly about, I would say, 1.5 feet tall from the propagator. The first thing we do is we place them on the slabs here. We hang strings up top, bring strings down, and we clip them up. And every single week, we put a clip on. One of these clips right here, as you can see. They grow roughly about, I would say, 33 centimeters?
Yep, depending on the variety.
Depending on variety, roughly about 33 centimeters. And then we also put a truss support on here. This keeps the cluster from kinking. This, otherwise, if it kinks, you would have a much smaller fruit at the end here. So this keeps it from that. We also always take leaves off from the bottom here to ensure that you can still see all the tomatoes and that they get the proper amount of sunlight. And then also, as you can see here, pretty much all of our sets are pruned to 5 tomatoes. So this is really to ensure that we have proper sizing and also that the proper ripening, that we get a full ripened cluster at the end of it. And then also, so by the time the plant starts here, by the time we're completely done with it, the plant is roughly about 40 feet long. So every week we go up top, and then those hooks up top there, lower it down. So again, like I said, at the end of the crop season, they're about 40 feet long.
Where does the irrigation water come from?
So maybe.
Yep. So we use municipal water. It's fresh water. The nutrients are then added to it, and then from there it goes into the plant. And what's amazing about growing in a greenhouse environment is we try to have full control over what's happening and reduce our waste as much as possible. So when the water goes into the roots, some of that water is drained out in order to refresh our nutrients, and then it's taking the water's drained back into a tank. We disinfect it. There's still fertilizer in that drain water, so we get to reuse it and then bring it back into the greenhouse. So there is zero water wasted. The water that comes in, all of it goes into the plant, and like I said, it drains away. We reuse it, and the plants just continue to grow.
I'd also like to talk a little bit about our Priva system here. This is a traceability system where, so all of our jobs that we do here, they're on piece rate. So when you go in and you do any of the jobs, we can always tell who did that row, how long it took them, and also how many stems an hour they do. And also for harvesting, if they come out of this row, they would scan this tag, and they would scan the cart number that it was associated with, and that we can trace it back. Should we ever have a recall, we could trace it back to this general area here, to trace it back to see what the issues were with it.
Yeah, that allows us to minimize the amount that we have to recall if it happens. What's also nice is this can be used for things like our IPM program. It can be used for many things that we can track pests and disease in the greenhouse. There's a lot of new technology. So for people who think that we're just farmers here that like to grow plants, that is partly the case. But what we also have there's a lot of technology, a lot of automation. We don't have the chance to walk through the whole facility here, but there is a lot of automation technology, so robotics and IT guys looking for work. This is a very hot industry right now for positions like that. And then on the other side, there's scientists and chemists that would like to work with our fertilizers and nutrients. We make up custom nutrient recipes for our plants and tailor it to exactly what they need when they need it.
Now, do we hand pick our tomatoes?
We do hand pick our tomatoes. So I could probably show you an example. So any cluster gets harvested, we would just tear it off like this, take the clip off, trim it to the proper back here, and you have yourself a beautiful cluster of 5 tomatoes.
And what is IPM?
So maybe
Yeah.
Matt can explain that.
Yeah, so within our growing department, we have an IPM team, and which involves crop scouts, supervisors that go and look for things. And then in order to manage that, one nice thing about the greenhouse business is our industry can reduce any chemical or eliminate all chemical use in our greenhouses. And we do that by putting these little cards out in the greenhouse. Every week we're putting these out. And there are these are good bugs that go into the greenhouse, and then they take care of all the bad bugs that would harm our tomato plants. So IPM is integrated pest management. We call it integrated because we have many different facets on how we can actually do this. One of them here in tomatoes specifically, the flowers that come out the top of the plant, they need to be pollinated. Now in nature, there's wind, there are bugs, there's bees, there's other things. So what we do here is we bring bees into our greenhouse. And if you follow me over here, you can see down underneath our troughs are a bunch of boxes. Those boxes are beehives. We bring them in every week, and the bees go through the crop, do our pollinating, and then that way we get nice tomatoes that look presentable and increases the production as well. So that's just, again, one part of pest management. We also work with programs that not just bringing this in, but we also bring plants in the greenhouse. We call them banker plants or host plants that the bugs can live off of. They will survive on that plant and then go into the greenhouse and again take care of all the bad bugs that would harm the tomatoes.
So maybe we could also talk a little bit about how this actually works. So if we look here, this is our railing system. This is where our carts would drive on top of for the harvesting. Also, any of the work that has to be done up top. We don't have a cart here at the moment, but there's a cart that would travel on top of here. So that is the one use of it. The next use of it is heating. So this is our secondary heating source. Our primary is this up here. This is our primary heating source. So if it gets cold in here, we turn this on. If that is not enough, then we turn this on here as well. And when it gets really cold, we do have a curtain, an energy screen that you're able to close off depending on the temperature you want to set in here. So we use that as well. And also the lights. So we have lights in here. This is the first facility that we had lights here in Canada. We have that because we want winter production of tomatoes, locally grown. This way we don't have to import them from other countries. So this is kind of how this works, so we can have tomatoes coming in, locally grown tomatoes in the wintertime.
Now, from a few aspects on the growing side, I'll say we also look at our climate. So we look at the irrigation water, the nutrients. We look at our climate. We control temperature. We also control humidity. And carbon dioxide is another big one for us. The plants need the carbon dioxide for food and to produce the sugars in the plants. So we use carbon dioxide. Again, it's a waste from other industries that we are able to use it for production to grow healthy tomato crops.
And how are the tomatoes graded?
The tomatoes are graded, so in several steps along the way, the harvester will pick it and evaluate whether it's a good tomato or a bad tomato, put it in the box, and then from there they go up to our pack house where we have people who will check those boxes again for weight and also quality. So that way, if we do find something that was missed by the harvester in the greenhouse, we can catch it in the pack house, and it shows up at the grocery store shelf nice and clean. Many other jobs, again, when you talk about jobs in our industry, the ones I mentioned before are part of the actual production, part of the actual hands-on, but there are so many other human resources, finance and accounting, maintenance guys, electricians. We've got a host of electricians that work for us.
Maintenance. We would have
Labor supervisors,
labor
managers,
growers, assistant growers, again, and QC. There really is an abundance of jobs that are available here. So there really is a lot more to it than just harvesting and clipping and maintaining the plants. So yeah, we really do have a lot of jobs available as well.
Yeah, and we're always looking. It is something that it's difficult in our industry. It's growing so fast. There are thousands of acres just in our area alone, and more going up every year. Hundreds of acres being built in Ontario, southern Ontario, specifically is a big area, but all through the province. It's a growing industry that we're always looking for people. So, any other questions out there that we can answer before we wrap up?
We have one more. What is the grow time in the winter versus the summer?
The grow time?
Well, we can talk in different terms. There's the we grow these crops when they're planted. We grow them all year long, but the speed at which the plant grows does change. And what I think is amazing about tomatoes, I love telling people this. These tomato plants, these are non-GMO. These are just varieties that are hybridized, which is just natural two varieties pollinating together. But tomato plants, these are indeterminate, which means vine tomatoes, not bush tomatoes, like you'd see in the fields. Every week at the top of this plant, we will grow one set of flowers, we will grow 3 leaves, and then next, when the one at the bottom's ready, we will harvest it, take 3 leaves off, and then next week the plant does the same thing and we just lower it down. So it's amazing. 3 leaves in a cluster every week for the whole length of the year.
Well, happy Canada Agriculture Day. Hope you guys have a good day.
Thanks for listening.